So let's move on to what we're going to be looking at for today. So a lot of thumbs up. I like it. You'll be on top this week. Okay. I'm going to hold you to that. And if you're not, I'm going to call you out. There's also a new puzzle today. I think that I have gotten it at the correct level for what you asked for on Thursday, because it was averaging around 6 or 7 in difficulty level. So that's sort of what I focused on. So we'll see if anyone can get the puzzle this evening and who can get it first. Okay, but before we jump into all of that, let's just do a quick recap of what we did on Thursday. So Thursday, we looked at tables like this, where we had an input and we had an output. And our pattern that we were working with were these numbers over here. And then our input was like 1, 2, 3, 4, and as we went on. Okay, so who remembers what the first thing is that we need to look for to start figuring out what the rule of this pattern is?
Constant difference.
Yes, beautiful, guys. Nice job. That's exactly what we're going to look for. We want to look for the constant difference. Okay, constant difference. Common difference, also totally fine. NK, I see your question. If 4 people get 100%, I will put all 4 people's names up there. Okay, so the constant difference is what we're looking for, and that's just taking the second term and minusing the first term, or the third term minusing the second one. So 6 minus 4 is going to give us 2. 8 minus 6 is going to give us 2. 10 minus 8 is going to give us 2. So our constant difference is we are adding 2 each time. Okay. Where is that constant difference going to go? So what is the first little part of my equation going to look like? What, and then I'm going to have an equal sign. So I'm going to have something, and then I'm going to have an equal sign, and then I'm going to have something. Who can tell me what those 2 somethings are? Just the things that we need to, that we've learned from the constant difference. Tapiwa? No?
I'm not sure.
That's okay. Who thinks that they can help you? What is going to be equal to what? Tiana?
I think it's like the number that's 2.
Good. Good. Okay, so we're going to have 2x in this block over here. I love that. Okay, the 2x. Ah, Amber, yes, beautiful, the y. Okay, so we have our output is equal to, and then we have our constant difference. So whatever that constant difference is, that's going to go in front of the x. So we're going to multiply it by the x, and then we're going to have something over here, and then we're going to have a number. So who thinks they can help me with the next 2 little blocks? What's going to go next after the 2x? Take a chance. Doesn't matter if you're wrong, guys. Okay, I'm getting some answers in the chat here. So we have one option here, which is 2x plus 2. Catherine, do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
You do. Okay, so what we're going to have here in this little block, we're either going to have a plus or we're going to have a minus, and then in the next one we're going to have a number. Okay, and the way that we work that out is we take our input, because remember our input is x. So we're saying, well, if x is 1, we're saying 2 times 1, which is 2, but I need an output of 4, which means I need to add 2 to get my output of 4. And then if we are wanting to test this, we can put in any of the other pairs. So if I put in this pair, for example, let's look at this pair over here. If I had 2 times 3, that's going to give me 6. 6 plus 2 is going to give me 8. And if I look at my next one, 4 times 2 is going to give me 8. 8 plus 2 is going to give me 10. And so we land up being able to find our formula by finding the constant difference and then looking at the first term and seeing what we need to add or subtract to get to our output. Okay. Who thinks they can help me find what number is going to go in there and talk me through how they figured it out? There's no rush. Take your time. Think about it.
28.
Sorry?
28. 28.
28? Are you certain?
No.
Do you want to have a look at it again?
26.
26? Are we happy with 26?
24.
Okay, so we've got, so far, we've got 24, 26, and 28.
It is
I can tell you that one of those
26.
is correct.
26.
26.
It's
26.
26. It is, it's 26. Okay, so the reason that why it's 26 is we're making this x over here 12. So that's our 12. Okay, so we're going to say 2 times 12, which is 24, and 24 plus 2, which is 26. Ah, Alvarez, you're back. Welcome back. We have missed you. Okay, so this is just a quick recap of what we did on Thursday. We're going to be using this concept quite a lot in today's lesson. So if you're new or you're still feeling a little wobbly about it, don't panic because we're going to be covering it quite a bit today. But we're going to use this concept. Yeah.
Where you said it's either a plus or a minus in the box, will it ever be possible that multiplication or division may be used?
In grade 9, with the kind of patterns you use, no. There will always be a plus and a minus. When you get into the higher grades, then yes, but then we would have formulas that we would use to make it easier for us.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure.
Ma'am, sorry to bother you.
Never a
but
bother.
At school, we finished all of the work, and then right after that, my teacher got a message saying that that this was pushed to term 3. So I wanted to ask, does that apply for all of us?
For what being term 2, for patterns being pushed to term 3?
Yes.
Oh, so it's different for different schools. So for some schools, they will have pushed it to term 3. Some people will have done patterns in term 1. So different schools will be on different things.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, but as long as you all cover the work that you need by the end of the year, that's what's important. All right. Okay, so today we are working with TN. So I know that from our previous lessons, there are a couple of you who've already worked with TN, which is awesome. And there's a question in the chat. That is exactly where we are going today. We are definitely going to work with TN in number sequences. And the only reason we're only bringing it in now is that sometimes it can get a little bit more complicated. But now, because we've set all of the basics and we have a good foundation, I think you'll all be absolutely fine. So when we start moving into higher grades, like when we move into grade 10 and 11 and 12, we still do patterns, and then we only use TN and N. So it's quite important that we know exactly what each of them does, which is what we're going to focus on now. So let's have a look here. Okay, I've tried to keep some things the same so that you can see how they blend into each other from what we've been doing. So let's look at this first example. So we've got a number sequence, which is 7, 10, 13, 6. Before I even look any further than that, what is my constant difference? Good.
3.
Alvarez, yes. Okay, 3. 3 is our constant difference.
Really?
So when we get a number sequence, we always just want to figure that out straight away. And as you get into the higher grades, we need to figure that out to know which formula to use. So either way, it's an important thing for us to do. Okay, and now in all of our other ones, I've been giving you a table where we have an input and we have an output. But sometimes you can be given a number sequence as just a list of numbers like this, which we're going to do a little bit later in the lesson. And so then you don't know what the input is. And we have to think about what each input would be. And so basically with these numbers, we think of this as this is the first position. So this is term 1. This is term 2. This is term 3. That's term 4. So we use the big T's to say that we're using it as a term, and then we use the little numbers to indicate which position in that term they are. Okay, so term 1, term 2, term 3, term 4. And so basically our input would be that it is the first term. Our input there would be 1, and our output would be 7. Okay, so to try and show you what that looks like if I was to make a table, it looks like this table that we've got down here at the bottom. So the position of the term, that was how I said that was term 1, is the first position, and the value of the term was a 7. Okay, the position of the second term is position 2, which is term 2, and the value of that term is 10. So this is term 2, and the value of that term is 10. Okay, so now when we're thinking of this, this is the same way we were thinking previously, that that's our input, and this is our output. And so now looking at this table, if you are using things like n and tn, try and look at the table and try and use it as some help. Which one of those, so is n or tn going to be my input? Is n or tn going to be my input?
N.
N, beautiful. Okay, n is my input. So this was your clue over here. N is your input, and Tn is going to be your output. So Tn is what you're getting. So think of it like this. Think of these being your Ns. Let me write it like this. Think of those being your Ns, and then think of these being your Tns. So your input is your Ns, your output is your Tn. Okay. All right. So let's try and have a look at the rest of this. We already know that our constant difference here is 3. Okay, so what are my next 3 numbers over here? What are my outputs when my inputs are 5, 6, and 7?
19.
19.
22, 25.
Good, good. Okay. Yes. Who thinks they can be brave? I'm very excited if someone ends up getting this right. Who feels brave and thinks they can tell me what's going to go in that big space over there?
The rule.
Okay, and what is that rule going to look like?
Tn. I don't know. I forgot.
It's a good start.
Tn plus 3. Okay. Or I think Tn equals 3. I don't know what the last one is.
3 what?
3x.
3x.
3x. Where's x coming from? I have no x's in my table.
Oh, 3n. 3n.
Ah, there
3n.
you go.
Ma'am?
3n.
Then would you say 3n plus 7?
So we won't say plus 7. The 3n is very good though. So what we do now is we do the same thing as we did in our previous one, is we take this first term and we say 3 times n, so 3 times 1 is 3, and I need to get to 7. So how do I get from 3 to 7? What do I have to add? I have to add, oh, that color is terrible. I have to add 4.
You can talk.
And so our formula becomes Tn is equal to 3n plus 4. And think of it in the same way as we did our x's and our y's. Our output is now just our Tn, where our output was y, and our input is n, where our input was x. But otherwise, it's exactly the same. Okay, it just gives us a bit more power. We can ask more interesting questions with this as we move further through them. Okay, so the notation that we use when we're working with Tn's and n's is if I wanted to know what the first term was, we would say that term 1 is equal to 7. That's how we would use that terminology. Okay, and in that situation, what is my n? That's what I would like to know. So when I'm saying T1 is equal to 7, what is my n? What is my input?
1.
1. Yes, well done. Good. Okay, so when we have a look down here, this little 1 over here, that's telling us what our input is, because it's telling us the position of that term. Okay, so if I have here, if I'm saying that term, oh, sorry guys, do you mind just muting? If I'm saying that term 3 is equal to 13, what is my n in that case?
3.
3. Good. Okay. This is just to slowly get us into Tn and N.
Oh, ma'am, in some scenarios, like I remember in grade 7, they can say give the 200th term.
Yes. So in that case, if I ask for the 200th term, what would the 200 be? Would the 200 be N or would it be Tn?
In.
Yeah, exactly. So you're just substituting N into the formula. So in this case, you would say 3 times 200 plus 4. Hope that makes sense. Okay. All right. Let's keep on moving through here. So we use N to represent the input, which we've spoken about, and Tn to represent the output, which we've also spoken about. And in this case, which we've just written up here, our general rule so if we were just writing generally what it would be is we say An plus, and then some of your teachers will say plus C, and some of your teachers will say plus X, and some of your teachers will say plus Q. All of them mean the same thing. Okay, so at the moment, the most important thing is that we know we're going to put our constant difference over there, and then we're going to have a number over there. And we're going to have our formula set out like that. Okay. Just want to get an idea. Don't worry. I don't expect you to fully understand this just yet. We've just brought in Tn and N. So if you're not feeling great, please don't be embarrassed. We're going to spend the rest of the lesson on it. I just want to get an idea of whereabouts most of the classes. So can you give me a scale of 0 being absolutely terrible and 10 being like, I understand everything, I'm feeling good so far, in the chat, so I can get an idea of where you all are at. Thanks, guys. Keep them coming for me, please. Cool. I love some of your numbers, guys. They make me giggle. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. All right. So for this one here, we've got this number sequence below. So we've got 3, 5, 7, 9. Okay. I've told you the first part here. So I said the position of the term, and then I've given you 3. I would like you all to fill in the rest of those numbers. So tell me what those numbers are going to be. MK, I see your hand.
Ma'am, can I answer?
Yeah, I think so, because I'm not hearing from MK, so go ahead.
5.
Yes.
7. 9.
Good, keep going.
11.
Good.
13.
Yes.
15.
Good. Okay, so we know that they're going to be 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15. And we know that because our constant difference is what? Adiswa?
2.
2.
You guys stole it from her. Yes, 2. Our constant difference is 2. Okay, so far we've done a lot. We know how to figure out where our positions of our numbers are. We can figure out our constant difference. Next thing we need to do is we need to figure out what our rule is of this. So we need to think about what's going to go over here. Okay, so we need to write our Tn is equal to.
2n
So I want you
plus
to
1.
think about what that's going to look like. Sorry, Avile?
2n plus 1.
Great, 2n plus 1 is excellent. Okay, 2n plus 1. So we know that this 2 is going to be our constant difference. That's always going to be the constant difference. And then we think about this first situation over here. So we think if I have 2 times 1, that's going to give me 2. And I need to have an answer of 3, which means I need to plus 1 to get to 3. And then we've got our rule. It's that easy. That's well, for the moment. We're going to get a bit tougher, but for the moment. Well, I can't go too far down because your puzzle's after the second one. Okay, so now I don't want anyone to yell out the answers here. I want everyone to try this by themselves. So don't even write comments in the chat for this one. I first want you to all just take a moment and see if you can figure it out, write it out on your page in front of you. And then when I say you can give your answers, then you can all give your answers. Okay, so I want everyone to try and fill in. Your goal at the moment is I want you to fill in these 4 blocks, and I want you to think about what that rule is. But remember, don't share your answers just yet. Let's give everyone a chance to get there, and then I'll tell you when you can answer. Okay, so all do this by yourselves on your books that you have with you. And then we have our puzzle. Does anyone need more time? If anyone needs more time, can you put the hands up emoji for me for a second? Okay, no problem, no rush. Okay, so MK, they got the numbers by using this number series up here. And they were able to see that those were the first 4 numbers. And then they were able to see what the constant difference was. All right. Let's go. Who answers in the chat? Let's go. Write them out. Okay. So I see your patterns. I wonder if anyone fell for my little trappy trap that I tried to set for you. Okay, so can we all agree that our numbers are going to be -7, -9, -11, oh gosh, -13? Are we all happy with those answers? I'm hoping we are. Okay, cool. Okay, so those ones, all we're doing is each time I'm subtracting 2. So now what we have to be really careful with is that our difference here is now not a positive number. Our difference is a negative number. Okay, so my trap was that people often forget about that negative number and they write 2n. Did anyone fall for a trap and write Tn is equal to 2n minus 3? Did anyone fall for that trap? If you fell for that trap,
No.
let me know. Because it's a very normal trap to fall into. Oh, not me. Okay. I thought that I had set such a good trap. Ah, thank you, Kanya. Finally, someone fell for my trap. Okay. All right. So this is definitely not right because our constant difference is not 2. Our constant difference is -2. So we know that we're going to have Tn is equal to -2n, and 1 times -2 is going to give us -2. So how do I get to -1 from -2? I have to plus 1. And so I get -2n plus 1. Okay, how did this question go? Did we enjoy it? Did we manage to get it right? Are we happy with our answers? You can let me know with emojis, or you can let me know in the chats. If you found this question to be terrible with your emoji, you can show me a sad face. If it went great, you can show me a happy face. Great, cool.
Yes, I am.
Great, okay.
I'm happy.
Good. Okay. Hanging in there. Oh, Alvarez, you always say you're confused and then you get it right. I don't trust you. I'm confused. Okay. All right. So puzzle time. For anyone who's new in today's lesson, every lesson we try and have a little bit of a break about halfway through. Oh, you forgot the end. It happens to lots of people, don't worry. So in this little break, I try and give you something which is not anything like what you've done. It's just something different to make you think a little bit. And you've got to try and get your answer as quickly as possible. So because it's difficult if everyone answers at the same time, if they unmute themselves, when you've got an answer, put it in the chat. And the first person who writes the correct answer in the chat, I will say. Okay, so get your brains ready. Today's puzzle is this. I want to know what the question mark is. Go. It's easier than last week. Nope. No, no. No. Catherine, no. A cat does have 9 lives, yes. 81, no. 108, no.
1 plus 17 times 1.
9, no. Negative, no. 66, no. No. Come on, guys, you're just guessing now. You got to try and work it out. Where are these big numbers coming from? Ah, Amber, we have a winner. We have a winner. I'm going to let's see if anyone else can get there. Yeah, okay, good. The cat is definitely 4. That's a good start. So for those of you working still, the cat is definitely 4. Seven is not right. It's not 112. If you need help with the steps, you can ask for something else. Okay, so we're getting a few more of the correct answers now, which is good. Okay. So well done to those of you who got 3. You are 100% right. Amber was the first one to get there, so big well done to Amber. Well done, Amber. Okay. So from this point here, we need to think, well, exactly. So Yolanda's saying here the mouse is 3. The mouse has to be 3 because 4 times something has to give me 36. So that has to be 3 times 3 because 3 times 3 is 9 and 9 times 4 is 36. So we know now that that is 3. Okay. Then we've got 4 times 3, which is 12. And then we have to times it by something to get to 72, which means that our cheese is 6. So each of our cheeses is 2. So now we've got our cat, which is 4, minus our mouse, which is 3, which gives us 1, plus our cheese, which is 2, which gives us a total of 3. Did anyone get close? Those of you who didn't get the answer of 3, were you able to at least get the cat and the mouse? Was it the cheese that threw you off? What happened along the way? Didn't see the minus. Okay. Oh,
Ma'am,
no. Yeah, Yolanda, tell me.
me, it was cheese.
Was the cheese, did the cheese get you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, sorry.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
for me, I got the cat, but then
Okay.
like on the second one, I didn't know that the cat like was already the answer. Like we know that the mice is 3, right?
Yes.
So 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 4. Oh, okay. I see now.
Okay. Good. I thought the cheese would get some of you, but we get there. I will bring another one on Thursday. Keep you guys thinking, keep your brains working. Okay, we're going to just keep on going with our patterns though. We're going to see how we can go today. So next one, I've now taken away all of my crutches. So I'm just leaving you with just the pattern. And from just this pattern, I want to have an answer of Tn is equal to something, something, something. Okay, so I'm going to help you with this first one, just because I know some of you haven't done patterns in class. I know some of you have, and that's great, but some of you haven't. And so for those of you who haven't, we're just going to go through this together, and then I'll let you do the next one completely by yourselves like we did the last one, and give everyone time to work it out. Okay. So now when you're working like this, I find the easiest thing to do is to actually write the term position above it. So I would like write 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, just so that I know where everything is. Those are my term positions. And these are my outputs. The next thing we want to look for is we want to look for our constant difference. So here, 7 minus 2 is 5. So I'm adding 5, I'm adding 5, I'm adding 5, which means that my constant difference is 5. Okay? We're going to think about that first pair when we come up with our rule. So we know it's going to be Tn is equal to our constant difference times n, so 5n. And now we have to think about this first pair that I've highlighted. So for that first position, so when n is 1, it would be 5 times 1, which is 5, and I need to get an answer of 2. So I'm going to minus 3. And so that's going to be my final answer, 5n minus 3. And it needs to look exactly like that. I need to have my Tn and I need to have my n. I can't be missing either of them. Otherwise, I won't get it right. Okay. Do you feel ready to try one alone? I hope so.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just want to go over the second step one more time. And then I'll let you guys try. Okay, so first step we're all happy with. We take Tn, we take our constant difference, which is 5, we multiply it by n. Okay. Then we think about this first pair that I've highlighted over here. My input, that's my n, is 1. My output, is my Tn, is 2. So we're saying, well, if n is equal to 1, then my Tn needs to equal 2. So if n was 1, that would be 5 times 1, which would give me 5. But I need it to be equal to 2. So I have to minus 3 so that I get my final answer of 2. So we take whatever that first number is, we multiply it by 1, or that first position. And so 5 times 1 is 5. I need my answer to be 2. So I'm going to say minus 3, because 5 minus 3 is going to give me 2. Okay, hopefully that cleared up a little bit for the second step for those of you who are still a little bit on the fence. Okay, I'm going to give you a second question, but I want you to do the same thing that we did for the last one. I don't want you to write your answers in the chat until everyone's had a chance. So keep them, you can type them, just don't push send until I say that we're going to go through them, and then I'll let everyone answer. Okay, but so for the moment, I want you to just keep your answer to yourself until everyone's had a go. Okay, so give this one a try. Everyone, I want you to try this from your sides, and I want my n answer to give me a rule. So Tn is equal to something.
Number is -4.
Can you just put the hands up emoji for me if you need more time? Okay, let's get going. So, answers, let's go. Oh, you guys are ready. You had them on the go. Oh, I see an N is missing in someone's answer.
-9. The next
And
number
I'm
is
seeing some
-9.
pluses and minuses together. Hello?
Ma'am,
Yes.
isn't the difference -4?
The difference is definitely -4.
So that means will our term, like, will it be -4 as well?
Yes. Okay. So your first step. So oh, that was a very weird situation. Okay. So my constant difference is definitely -4. So what you're saying is great. Okay.
Oh, ma'am,
So yeah.
sorry to disturb. Isn't it like +4?
No, I'm going into lower numbers. So if it was +4, then it would be -2 to 6, because then I'm adding 4 each time, but I'm subtracting 4. So I'm getting less. My numbers are getting smaller.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But remember, if you were doing it in your calculator, you would write it as -6 minus -2, which would come out as -6 plus 2, which would be -4. Okay. But so I'm subtracting 4 each time. So my first step is I get 4n, tn equals -4n. Then I think about this pair over here. So I've got a 1 and a -2. So -4 times 1, and I'm needing my answer to be -2. So how do I go from -4 to -2? What do I have to do to get from -4 to -2? I have to add 2. Good. Okay. And so that is my final answer. So Tn is equal to -4n plus 2. So let's see if you were able to get this first part. So if you got the -4n, I want you to give yourself 1 mark. And if you were able to get the +2, I want to give yourself 1 mark. So who was like, give me an idea of how this question went. So either 0 out of 2, 1 out of 2, or 2 out of 2. And if you feel embarrassed, you're welcome to send me a direct message, but no one in this class judges, so don't feel embarrassed. But like a very nice class. 1.5. How do you get 1.5?
Ma'am?
Yes, Joyce, how can I help? Joyce? Hello?
Like when you find constant difference and then you doing your term, how do you know you should add or subtract a positive number?
So the easiest thing to think of is think of it like an equation. So I
Ma'am?
know that I've got -4, and then I either need to add or subtract something, but I'm going to write plus x, and I know that my answer needs to be 2. It needs to be -2, sorry. Okay, so think of it as an equation like that. And so if I'm trying to figure out what this number is over here, I would want to move that 4 onto that side. So I would say x is equal to -2 plus 4, which is equal to +2. And that's how I know that that's a positive. If it was a negative, like this blue situation over here, so let's have a look at, let's try and make an equation with this blue one. I had 5, okay, and I knew I needed to plus something, and I knew that my answer had to be 2. So then I would say, well, x is equal to 2 minus 5, which means that it was equal to -3. And so that's how then I would know it as a negative. So if you're struggling to sort of see visually how to get to the second number, or if it's going to be a plus or a minus, think of it as an equation and write it as an equation. And then you'll never, ever get it wrong because you'll always take things over. Okay, I hope that helped.
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear you in the second one. How do we get to the second number when we're finding the TN?
The +2 in this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so our second number comes from, let's just erase all of this so that we've got a little bit more space and I can write a bit neater. Okay, so what's happening here is that this is, if we have a look at this first pair, right? My input, so that's my n, is 1, and my output is -2. Okay, so my output, I'm going to write this at the moment. At the moment, we know that, right? And then we don't know what this number is going to be. So at the moment, everyone should be comfortable with getting to that point over there because we're just trying to figure out what the last number is going to be. Then we put in the information we know. If we're looking at this first pair, my output is -2 and my input is 1. Okay, so now I have -2 is equal to -4 plus x. And so if I'm wanting to find out what x is, I'm going to bring this -4 across the equal sign, which means the sign's going to change. And it's going to be -4 plus -2 plus 4, which is going to give me my +2. So that's just like a longer way of looking at how to get that number. But if you're struggling to see it visually, then you can always use that method to help you figure out how to get the number. I hope that helps a little bit.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, let's try and do one more question, and then I'm going to leave you guys with Eric, and he's going to do a poll with you. Okay. Okay, so this one's broken up into 3 sections. First of all, this is our sequence. Okay, before we jump into anything, what is my constant difference in this sequence?
2. Ma'am,
2.
Plus 4.
Plus
Plus
4. Plus
4.
4, guys. Plus 4. This is not 1. This is -1. Ooh, falling for my traps. Okay. We are needing to add 4 each time if we're wanting to get to where we need to be. Okay. So from here, that already puts us in a good position. Okay, so for the first part, for question A, I'm wanting my formula. So I'm wanting my Tn is equal to something n plus something. Okay. Then we're going to get into question B and question C. But for the first part, I want everyone to be able to get their formula. Emmanuel, do you have a question? Okay. All right, guys, so get going. I want you to all focus on A for the moment, and I want you to determine a formula for Tn. So what is Tn equal to? And I've already helped you with the first part because we know what our constant difference is. So at the moment, I just want to know what that is. So Tn is equal to what? That's what you're working on now. Alvarez, there's a few things missing there.
Ma'am, is it a plus?
So it's not going to be a plus. always dramatic. Okay. Seeing some answers come in. So let's go through this. Remember, this is, let me move wherever it's in these. So, we're adding 4 each time. This is position 1, position 2, position 3, position 4. We're going to think this is N and Tn. Okay, so we already know that we have Tn is equal to 4n. That's our first step. Then we need to figure out what we are going to add or subtract. So if we look at this first pair over here, 4 times 1 is 4, but I don't want 4, I want -1. So how do I go from 4 to -1? I need to subtract 5. So my formula is going to be Tn is equal to 4n minus 5. If you struggled getting to that -5, write it out like I showed you just now. Your Tn is -1, your n is 1, and we're trying to figure out what x is. So -1 is equal to 4 plus x. -1 minus 4 is equal to x, which means x is equal to -5. Okay, so you can do either way. Obviously, if you're doing it the slightly longer way, you'll just be doing it in your working out section. And it's totally fine. It took me, what, 2 seconds? It doesn't take a whole lot of extra time. And it's better to rather take a bit more time and make sure that you're right than just try and rush something. And then all of the rest of the questions will be wrong. Okay, because all of these, they fall on each other. So it's important that we get the first one right. Okay, so we have our formula is equal to Tn. Yes, hi.
Ma'am, I kind of skipped ahead to do C. Is that fine?
Totally fine.
Ma'am, would you say is T the term? Okay, the answer for number C, is it T102, term 102?
We're going to get there now, sweetheart. We're just not there just yet. Okay. Let's have a look at B, everyone. So for B, we're trying to determine T50. So if we're looking at that question, what information is that telling us? What am I able to put into my formula if it's T50? What is that 50? Is that 50 in N or is that 50 in Tn? So we're getting some different answers in the chat. That 50 is telling us that this is what this means. Guys, please all make sure that you're on mute. Thanks. What this means is that the T is standing for term. So this is saying that this is term number 50. And so if it's term number 50, then that's meaning that it's N. So this is when N is 50. So all they're wanting to know is what is my Tn going to be when N is 50. And I know it's confusing because of the way it's written, it looks like the Tn. And so our brain thinks it's a Tn. But what it's telling us is that the N is 50. So all we do from this point is we say, well, Tn is equal to 4 times 50 minus 5, which is 200 minus 5, which gives us 195. And that takes us to the end of that question. Okay, I know that this is, if you guys feeling a little bit rushed, don't panic. We're going to start our next lesson from this point over here. So don't stress. But yeah, for those who know what's going on, then that's great. Nolly, can I help?
Ma'am, where did we get, can you see the Tn is equal to 4? Where did we get that 4?
That 4 came from being this constant difference over here. That's this 4 over here, because this formula is this formula.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'm going to go through the last one and then I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Eric and he'll be able to answer some questions for anyone who's feeling confused. Okay, so don't panic. We're not going to leave you hanging. Last one, determine which term equals 403. So this 403 is our Tn. That is our output. And we want to know which term, so which input would be equal to that. So now we do it the other way around. We say, well, 403 is equal to 4n minus 5 because we are looking for n. Okay, then we use our skills that we learned in grade 8 for equations. The first thing we do is we move that 5 across. So we say 403 plus 5 is equal to 4n. So 408 is equal to 4n, which means n is equal to 102. And I see a few people got there by themselves, which is great. Okay, guys, I need to leave you because I need to get to my grade 10s, but I'm leaving you with Eric. Please feel free to ask him any questions you need, and he'll do a poll with you, and I will see all of your lovely faces on Thursday. Bye, guys.